If Salman Khan starts talking about marriage or relationships and he becomes a coach in that particular area, would you like to be coached by him? If we keep changing the focus from one area to another every second week, then it is not going to work. Let's say Sadhguru, he has a unique style, you know, of presenting himself. I can guarantee that if you are posting consistently, let's say for 3 months, you post daily, I bet that you are going to get results.
How much content, according to you, should I put out as on consistent basis as a coach?
What is your content? And what is your product? So it's not just about content,
The key
content is
messaging as well.
the key messaging, and content is always superficial unless you have a strong product in the back. So don't think transactional, think strategic and create communities, and give them value. After attending Tony Robbins conferences, people leave their jobs. Why? Because he has so committed, and he talks in a way that he inspires you to do something of your own, to create your own identity, to create your own brand, to create something like he talks about 9 to 5, like 9 to 5 is death. After listening to all that, people just come and leave their jobs without having any plans.
Welcome everyone. If you are a coach, trainer, or a mentor, this episode is for you. Today we are going to walk you through a tried and tested framework for building a strong personal brand for coaches. So let's get started. Vikram, you have helped hundreds of coaches around the world to build a strong personal brand. What strategies, according to you, are the most important ones that can help them to create a strong personal brand given your long experience?
Sure. Basically, before we start talking about personal branding for coaches, I will ask you a few questions. And then we will talk about the framework and the steps how you can build a strong personal brand as a coach. So let's say if Salman Khan starts talking about marriage or relationships and he becomes a coach in that particular area, would you like to be coached by him?
No, not
But
at
at the
all.
same time, if he starts a coaching institute in acting, then he has authority in that space.
Definitely, yes.
So the point I'm making here is that if you are becoming a coach, first of all, you have to have that kind of experience and authority in that space, right? Because unless you have that experience and you have experienced, all the nitty gritty and things involved in that particular area, you are not able to coach others, right? So these days, what happens that, because of online education and all, many people get attracted to certain areas and they try to become a coach instantly. Like, you might come across some ads that just go with 72 hours of coaching or 100 hours of coaching and become certified in personal finance. Now a person who might be interested in something else get attracted to this area, and he starts talking about that, and he becomes a coach in that area, but actually he is not qualified to do that, right? So my point is that unless you have that kind of experience, don't get into that area. First of all, you have to have at least 3 to 5 years minimum of that kind of experience before getting into coaching, so in that segment. So that's very important. So don't get attracted by shiny object, and start like, because it happens with human beings that we try to do too many things together, and we try to become sort of coach and expert in any area, like so don't do it like that. First of all, just figure out that what is your specialization, what is your domain authority in that space, and whether you are going to be serious enough, whether you are committed enough in this space, because it's a very challenging field, first of all, and you have a great responsibility towards your students. So that's why it's very serious business. So unless you have that kind of commitment, don't get into coaching.
So, what kind of strategies do you think are going to help us in specialization and creating that credibility that you just talked about?
Now we will talk about the five step framework, to develop your personal brand as a coach. Now the first step is that define your unique value proposition. That what is your differentiator? What is your unique value proposition as a coach? So let's say if you're into personal finance, you have to define that what specific area of personal finance you are going to be talking about, and you have to become authority in that space. For example, if you talk about time freedom, financial freedom, in personal finance space, or stock investing, or crypto, or anything like that, then you have to own that space, right? And you have to have at least 3 to 5 to 7 years of experience in that particular area before talking about that. So you have to carve down your unique value proposition that yes, I have experienced so many things about this space, and now I have experienced maybe success and failures, and now I am able to coach you also. And this is my unique value proposition because I can help you avoid the pitfalls. I can help you avoid the failures which I have already done. So actually, a coach or a mentor is a person who has already experienced those failures so that you don't have to do that. You know, so for example, let's say if I have experience in marketing and branding, and if I say that I want to coach for marketing and branding, and I have experience, and I have 20 years of experience, and I know that this is how marketing works in this space, in the B2B space, and within B2B, this is how you can generate leads, or this is how you can nurture leads, then it becomes a unique value proposition for me, right? So the first step is define your unique value proposition.
Can we talk more about unique value proposition? How to build this unique value proposition as a coach?
Yeah. So, in order to define your unique value proposition, first of all, you have to define your core values, that what you stand for. So, once you define your core values, at least 3 to 5 values which you are committed towards and which you cannot compromise with, for example, professionalism or integrity or seek to serve, I'm just giving you examples. You can, niche down your core values, and basis that you can start working towards your unique value proposition. So let's say if you are into fitness coaching, for example, then within fitness coaching, if you are going to talk about weight loss as an example, then you can tell people that you can help people lose weight within, let's say, 60 days. You can lose 5 kgs in 60 days without taking any allopathic medicines, you know, uh, with naturopathy, something of that sort. And you have to tell the examples also that yes, so many people have already done this. You have, already done this with so many of your students or patients, and now you are taking it to the wider number of people, and you are offering this service. So likewise, you can define your unique value proposition in any space. But first of all, you have to understand yourself. You have to sit with yourself, and you have to define your core values, and then you can give some value to others. So actually, unique value proposition is about providing value to others. So what kind of value you can create for others, and whether it is tangible or not, how it is going to benefit others. So all these questions you have to ask yourself first, because nobody else is going to help you. Don't start working with marketing team or any other person. First work with yourself, and these
Right.
are the core areas you have to just think through. And once you are okay with that, these foundational areas, then you can start scaling up. You can hire marketing teams, you can hire branding teams, you can think about other things.
So what I am getting through this is that I should be having credibility, at least for myself, in my eyes, that I am, built for these things, and I am, having expertise in this areas. Only then I can start coaching. And if I don't have conviction, if I don't have experience, I cannot help people to grow in that area, right?
Absolutely. Yeah. So you have seen coaches, for example, in the spiritualist space, for example. Sometimes some people talk about numerology. The other day they start talking about astrology. The other day they start talking about tarot. The other day they start talking about some other field. So what happens that they are, just shifting their focus from one subject to another, and the audience is getting confused that hey, what are you trying to do, deliver? What is your core value proposition? But yes, if you are expert in astrology and you have done it for years, and now you are just adding on these things because these are correlated, then it's another story. But if we keep changing the focus from one area to another every second week, then it is not going to work. Your audience
Right.
is going to be confused.
Perfect, perfect. Moving on to the step number two. What would be the step number two in your roadmap?
Step number two is that once you have defined your unique value proposition and your core values, then you can think through that what kind of platforms you are going to focus on. For example, in online world, there are so many social media platforms, and people try to do so many things all together. That is why they are not able to achieve anything. Because if you are running in too many directions, then of course, you are not going to be focusing on specific areas, because all these platforms have different nature. For example, Instagram is altogether a different platform. YouTube is different. The nature of content is different. So what you put on LinkedIn is not going to work on Facebook, right? So you have to be little strategic when it comes to platform. Just think about maybe two or three platforms at the most. Sometimes I suggest that if you are comfortable with just one platform, just focus on that. Don't run in too many directions. Let's say if you are comfortable with YouTube content, just focus on that only. Don't run after Instagram, because Instagram is another story. You have to create a different kind of content, and it may not work. What you are talking about, uh, B2B content, for example, doesn't work on Instagram all the time, because
Right.
Instagram is more about lifestyle content. So that's why, you have to select your platforms. And then once you select your platforms, you can decide that what is going to be the cadence. How much content are you going to produce? And are you really comfortable with that? So do a pilot for at least 1 or 2 months, you know and check that what is working with you in terms of your comfort level, and which platforms you are finding you are comfortable with, and you understand them very well. So let's say if you decide upon that, yes, I'm going to work on YouTube, then you have to research a lot about YouTube. You have to learn that how the algorithm works, what kind of titles you should be putting, what kind of content you should be producing, what kind of description should be there, tags, blah blah blah. How does the algorithm work? Just the basics. You can always work with the marketing and branding professionals, but you should also have a basic foundational knowledge of these platforms.
So, if you are saying a basic foundation, what would be the personal branding foundation elements for coaches to start with?
Yeah, so when it comes to personal branding, there are a lot of elements involved. The first one is, for example, visual identity. How you present yourself. What is your tone of voice, right? So how you present yourself is very important. Have you seen that there are many people, for example, let's say Sadhguru, he has a unique style, of presenting himself, right? Of course, he is a very knowledgeable person, but at the same time, he has created that kind of visual identity for himself. Likewise, if you go back in history, Vivekanand, for example, his style is different. In politics, all the politicians have different style, right from Indira Gandhi to, in fact, Mahatma Gandhi, to Nehru. You have those Nehru jackets and Nehru topis still popular because they have that kind of a styling, right? So these are few examples. In all the spaces, you will find that the people you remember have certain unique style, the visual identity of themselves. I'm not talking about the other elements like logo, etc. I'm talking about you as a personal coach, and a personal branding style for your coaching and for yourself, as a person. So if you just think on those lines, this is going to help you a lot. Then you can talk about, this was the visual part, like how you're presenting yourself. But otherwise, what kind of key messaging you are delivering. So that's step number three, that you have to think about your key messages. And these key messages are always going to be consistent. For example, if you are into personal finance, we spoke about that, financial freedom, time freedom. How you are going to help your students achieve financial freedom or time freedom. What is your methodology? What is your strategy? And what should be the commitment level from the student? What are they supposed to do, right? So all these questions you have to ask, and basis that you have to define your key messaging
Key
also.
messaging, yeah.
Because unique value proposition is there, but now you have to break it down into your key messages. And that is
Perfect.
very important. Once you just figure out your key messages, then it is going to work with, because you are clear about that what you are going to deliver. So now people will start absorbing your content, they will start understanding your, because you are telling them something new, right? They haven't thought about financial freedom. They might want to achieve that, but they haven't. And that is why they're coming to you. So it's a new concept for them, right? So you have to just be very clear that the people who are coming to you, they don't know about these concepts, what you are going to talk about. So you have to make it very interesting. So now we are going to talk about storytelling. So it's not these days, it doesn't work that you tell something and, especially the younger generation, you have to tell a story to them to make them understand a thing. Otherwise, they are not going to work with you, because they have certain kind of, way of understanding, and they are born into this online world. They are much more tech savvy. So let's say if you are coming from, like, if you adopt the methods which are like 20 years old, and
It's
just
not going to help, yeah.
teach them like a teacher,
It's
it's
going
not
to be
going to
very
work.
boring for them. And in fact, storytelling is the way to create your brand.
Absolutely. So you have to create stories. Some stories should be real. Some stories should be about your own experiences, real life stories, and some other examples you can create by yourself. But I would prefer that if you have stories to tell which are real and which you know about, and you can just connect them with your learning, that in some way you are making them learn something, then you are going to make a mark.
Beautiful. This is excellent. And moving forward, what would be the next step?
Now, the next step is consistency. It's not necessarily a step. It's something which everyone needs to follow: consistency and patience. Because once you are into online and social media, you have to be consistent. You have to produce content at a consistent level. So let's say if you produce content for 6 months, and then 7 month you say that, I'm not able to do that anymore for some reason, because if you are going organically, you may not get results instantly. So you have to be patient. And the other thing is that you have to be strategic in terms of what you are creating, what kind of content is, you are creating and posting in your social media, and otherwise, on your website, etc. So you have to be a little strategic. And I can guarantee that if you are posting consistently, let's say for 3 months, you post daily, I bet that you are going to get results. Social media doesn't work for me, said nobody. Because it's not possible that you do social media consistently, in a right way, and you don't get results. It is impossible. I can bet on that. If social media is not working for you, or if you are not getting results, then something is wrong with your strategy, or something is wrong with your product, right? Because if you have a bad product, it's not going to work, whatever kind of marketing you do. So your product has to be something which people need, right? So before talking about personal branding, actually you should also think about that whether there is a demand for your product or service in the market or not,
Not, yeah.
right? Let's say, we are talking about a spiritual world, and astrology, numerology. There is a huge demand for these kind of products and services. Stock investing, despite the fact that stock investing is so volatile and so risky, millions of people want to do that, you know because it's so lucrative, because anyone can do that, it's so easy, right? So there is a huge audience, right? But if you create a unique product within this space, it is going to work, because there is audience sitting for that,
The
right?
demand is there.
The demand is there. Sometimes the latent demand is there, that it's hidden. There are some pain areas, there are some areas which, for example, in stock investing, all the biggies like HDFC Securities, ICICI, their demat and trading accounts, Zerodha, for example, or Univest, you know they have experienced so much of tremendous growth despite having HDFC kind of mammoth in that area, ICICI, and Aditya Birla and Kotak and all these biggies. Despite that, you have new startups coming up, because there was certain pain area they addressed, right? And there is much more to be done in this space. Likewise, in all the other segments you talk about, real estate, for example, there is so much of potential in that. right? But you have to be very clear, and it depends on you how you are going to take your practice further, and what kind of strategy you are following, and what actually is your experience.
So coming back to content, as you said that consistency is the key. So when I'm creating the content as a coach and I need to be consistent, how much content, according to you, should I put out as on consistent basis as a coach?
Yeah, so there are two sides to it. One is that how much content you should be posting and creating. The other side is that what kind of content. So there are people who might be producing 10 videos in a week or maybe 2 videos in a day, but it doesn't matter because those videos are actually not going to make any difference. But if at the same time, if you're just creating one video in a week or in a month, but it's like mind blowing, it's creating so much of value, you are speaking from your heart, and you are actually giving so much of tangible value to your audience, then that one video is going to be equal to like hundreds of videos.
It's going to blow up the
Absolutely.
visibility.
Yeah. So that one video, for example, you can repurpose, you can clip out, and you can post on several different platforms. But I'm talking about that what is your content and what is your product. So it's not just about content.
The key
Content is
messaging as well.
the key messaging, and content is always superficial unless you have a strong product in the back, right? So let's say, I talk about real estate project, and I know that, this project is going to work because it has great location, we have great quality, we have everything is superb, and then I speak about that, then people are going to receive it well. At the same time, if I have a project which is at a location which nobody wants to live at, or something is wrong with my product, let's say, the builder has gone through difficult times and maybe facing legal challenges or stuff like that, it happens.
People are basically not preferring that kind of product.
Yes, yes. So there are stories like, in real estate, for example, let's say if a builder has already gone through difficult times and he's not delivering homes, like in the NCR region, the National Capital Region, there are so many builders. They have disappeared.
Yeah.
So now let's say if a builder like Amrapali, or JP, or there are so many other super tech, if they come up with a new project, they are going to, of course, face difficulty because their product is now, people don't trust in them because they haven't delivered, and there are so many people who are suffering because of them. So now at this point in time, whatever they say, people are not going to be trusting them.
So anybody who is going to promote their product, of course, the product is not going to help the people. So it's not going to work.
Absolutely, yes. So your product and your content, these two are actually the two wheels of your, so you have to think on those lines, that your product and your content strategy should be.
Vikram, what kind of digital pillars coaches should focus on when they are creating content?
Yeah, so when we talk about digital pillars, we spoke about that what kind of platforms you are going to focus on. Then you also have to focus on your website, because I've seen that many coaches who are, who have a very strong presence on social media, but when you go to their website, it doesn't convey anything at all. So you have to have a good website as well, because your website can act as a hub where people can actually interact with your content, and they can go anytime on your website and they can find some useful resources, some checklist or some ebooks or some kind of useful resources out there, some calculators, for example. And at the same time, they can buy your product or service, they can subscribe there. So you have to give some hub, some basic platform to your users. Just be on social media is not going to work. You have to have your website as well. So in terms of pillars, you have to have your website, keep updating that, keep it useful, and then it comes to your social media platforms, and then community building. So this should be actually your strongest pillar, because you have to build a community, right? It's the future. So you have seen that pretty much all the companies, all the brands are moving in this direction. uh, do you remember Harley Davidson?
Yeah.
They have a community of bikers, and their club is like cult, like if you become a Harley Davidson owner, you join that club, people want to buy these motorcycles to join that club, you know and they organize events and they go for adventures and those kind of long drives and all. So it's a community.
They're
they
proud
started
of being a part of that community.
they started long back, you know but now this concept is even more going to be popular. So you have seen platforms like school.com, SKOOL,
Okay.
and like you can create your own communities on school, you know and then mighty, for example, and pretty much go high level, they are also giving you community kind of kajabi. All these platforms are giving you features where you can create your own communities. So once you have students, for example, let's say one way is that somebody comes to your site and they subscribe to your service, or they hire you, or they get your astrology report or numerology report, and then they disappear. You never follow up with them. You just forget about that because you have provided the service. It's gone. It's transactional. But if you make them a part of your community, now imagine the power. Over a period of time, let's say if you have 100 to 1,000 or 2,000, 5,000 people in your community, right? And you are engaging with them pretty much every month or every week, depending on you, then your cross selling, your business is going to grow like anything. You can scale up, right? So don't think transactional, think strategic and create communities. And give them value. So it's not just about creating groups or communities, provide them some value as well, so that they are engaged with you. And whenever you have something new to offer, then they can work with you, they can buy your service or products.
Excellent. What would be the step number 4 or next step after what you have, defined after digital pillars?
Yeah, so I spoke about uh, different platforms, and we spoke about unique value proposition. The other thing which I want to talk about is conviction, which is very important for you as a coach, because actually your personal brand is a sort of you have to take care of so many elements together, right? So your conviction is actually extremely important. Have you seen Tony Robbins? He can talk about, like he's a motivational speaker, and he can talk about these things like for 3 days
Yeah.
without looking at any notes, because he has that kind of conviction in that, right? Do you know that after attending Tony Robbins conferences, people leave their jobs? Why? Because he's so committed, and he talks in a way that he inspires you to do something of your own, to
Right.
create your own identity, to create your own brand, to create something like he talks about 9 to 5, like 9 to 5 is death. After listening to all that, people just come and leave their jobs without having any
Any
plans,
plans? Yeah.
right? That kind of conviction. Have you seen Robin Sharma, 5 a.m. club? You know, despite the fact that many people might not be agreeing that, okay, 5 a.m. club, people might be, not waking up at 5 a.m., but sleeping at 5, and waking up at 11 a.m. But still, people believe in his concept. There are 1% compounding, James Clear, atomic habits. It is not practical to compound your good habits or bad habits, whatever. He says that, if you do something and keep on improving 1% every day, it becomes 137% at the end of the year compounding. It is not measurable, especially the habits. It's very subjective. Let's say if you are an athlete, you can you measure that you can grow 1% every day? No, it's impractical.
You cannot
Actually,
measure actually.
yeah. And it is not possible also that you improve by 137% in a year. It's just an example. But he has given this story in such a compelling way that, yes, it seems to be that, yes, he's right. It may not be 137%. Sometimes it is 1,000%. Sometimes it is 10% in a year. You know, but he has given you some path. He has given you some food for thought.
He's given a concept basically to, and he has strong conviction around that.
Absolutely. So all these coaches, Vishen Lakhiani of Mind Valley, for example, he talks about meditation, and he talks about transformation, and he speaks in such a way. He gives you so many stories. Just go to Mind Valley or his YouTube
Yeah.
channel or his social media. He always is giving you stories. He's not giving you so-called gyan about meditation. He's giving you
Stories.
practical stories about his experiences, about his students' experiences, and now he's bringing so many coaches. And I've seen the same kind of conviction in the coaches he's hiring in his community, right? So you just go to this platform. I think it's excellent in terms of observing that how you can create your personal brand as a coach, and what you should be doing as a coach.
Vikram, any tips on starting the creating the content and then repurposing the content? As you said that we need to focus on just one. We shouldn't be spreading ourselves too thin when we are choosing different kind of social media platforms. So, what should be the strategy there, and how to repurpose the content?
Yes, so these days repurposing the content is essential because actually you cannot keep creating content all the time. You have to do other things as well, unless you are recording videos all the time. Once you are a coach, then you have to deliver to your students also. You have to take some classes or you have to create some content which is exclusive for them, right? Now, when it comes to your marketing and social media, I suggest that you create just 1 or 2 videos in a week, for example, or maybe it depends on you that you create a lot of content for the entire month or for the entire quarter, and then those videos can be clipped out and posted on several different platforms in a different way. So the titles can be different. So what goes in LinkedIn shouldn't be posted on Instagram in the same way. There can be some changes in that, you know, and that way you can repurpose. The other point which I would like to highlight is that engage with people in real time, right? Because if you keep creating content on YouTube and Instagram and all that, this is good. But at the same time, people are not going to work with a mentor unless they talk one to one with them, especially if the product is high value or something which is critically important for them. Are you going to work with a doctor, for example, or a healthcare expert just by watching his video? You are actually going to consult with them because the condition is going to be different. There is no one size fits all. So that way you have to consult that. Likewise, if something which is going to affect your career or which is going to affect your family in a certain way, you are going to talk to that expert one on one, right? So create platforms, create avenues where people can touch base with you.
Right.
Okay, so be reachable, be available, and create some slots, or just design your method that how people can touch base with you one on one if they have any queries. It can be emails, it can be through any form. You can create some form on your website or something, some way, or maybe a Slack channel. We spoke about community like School and Almighty, so give some way to them. And also do some webinars, live webinars. Recorded webinars are not going to work because people know that this is recorded, and there are tools which make recorded webinars look like live, but if you ask any query, nobody is going to answer that. And you know that this is recorded. So everyone knows that this is a recorded video, and people are not going to. But I have experienced that people have stopped responding to recorded webinars, even if you say this is going live, because everyone knows that this is actually not live and recorded. So go for live webinar, but for live webinar, you have to put in effort, like 1 or 2 hours, maybe every month, but you should be doing that. And that is why it comes to your conviction, your commitment as a coach.
Beautiful. So when you said we need to create, you have given so much of information when it is coming to creating content. So I have seen many coaches getting overwhelmed for creating content when it comes to social media. How they can get over this overwhelm, and how they can eliminate this burnout of creating content on so and getting big and visible on social media.
Yes, so if you are clear about what kind of value you are going to provide to the students, so just stick on few areas. Don't try to do too many things or don't try to over deliver. So just stick on that. Yes, I'm going to give you results in this area. Okay, and create content on that only. Also get some testimonials, because if you are serving any students or working with some students or your community members, ask them that what kind of results are they getting.
Okay.
Okay, interview them. Go for user generated content. That is why creating a community is very important, because ultimately if you have given them some platform to interact with
Mm-hmm.
you and with others, they can talk that what kind of results they are getting. It might be good, it might not be good. If you are getting some other feedback, then you can improvise on that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have given the way, you have given the platform for them to express themselves, so it is not going to be one sided. As a coach, you have to be very clear that it is not going to be one sided, because if you are just thinking that you will keep on bombarding your student with knowledge and resources and everything, and not get their feedback, and whether they are feeling better or not, how they are improving or not, and whether they are feeling good, and are they really accountable,
Mm-hmm.
and what kind of changes they are experiencing because of your coaching, it is not going to work. So interact with them. It should be two-sided, rather than just you telling them everything and you giving them directions all the time.
So I need to work on applicability as well to understand how much the knowledge that I have, given them or I have trained them or mentored them is working for them.
Yes, yes. And sometimes, you get golden nuggets once you start asking your students that what is the result they are getting, what kind of changes they are experiencing, then they tell you. And sometimes if they are not getting any results, you can improvise. You can just align
Hmm.
some of your deliverables, some of your methods, some of your strategies and frameworks for them.
When it comes to engaging with the community, what kind of strategies do you see working in current scenario of coaching and social media, the way social media is working right now?
So I would give you an example. How does Facebook work? Facebook is the largest community in the world, I would say, online community. And likewise, all these social media platforms are actually online communities. Is Facebook producing any content?
No,
Is Instagram producing any content? Is YouTube producing any content?
no, we are creating for them.
Is Google giving you any content?
No.
Everything is aggregated. And you said we are creating the content. That means user generated content, you know,
Hmm.
and these have become billion-dollar, trillion-dollar companies, right? So you have to think on those lines, that if the user is generating the content, right, then you don't have any, like, you are not into pressure of creating content, because the user is creating content,
True.
right? So train your students in such a way that they become your ambassadors, right? And if you want to become a leader, then you have to produce more leaders, right?
Right.
So we are talking about Tony Robbins. So it's a franchisee. you know he is raking in millions and billions of dollars, because there are other people who are using his name as a franchisee, that you are a Tony Robbins coach, right? Now Mind Valley has become such a big company,
Hmm.
because they have aggregated so many coaches, and now the coaches are creating content, and they are helping them, marketing and branding, and they have become the facilitators, right? So user generated content. So if you just think on these lines, then you have a way to go.
Uh, this is very insightful, Vikram. Before we wrap up, what kind of strategies and what kind of advice you would suggest for the coaches who are just starting up their journey in personal branding?
I would say don't jump in the fray. Don't go after shiny objects. Okay? Because as I told you, that it is going to be a very serious commitment, and coaching is a very serious business, right? I've seen people jumping from one subject to another, to another, to another every second week, because they are not that committed to that.
Hmm.
Now, if you have experience in personal finance or healthcare or any kind of any of your domains, real estate or so on and so forth, you were working in this domain for the last 20 years, 30 years, whatever, because you had certain conviction in that segment. Don't So let's say if I'm into real estate, and I suddenly start talking about fitness because I like to go to gym. After a few weeks, I will falter, because that is not actually my commitment in terms of career. My commitment is real estate. So just think about that. Are you really, really committed to that?
Hmm.
So don't become and don't portray as a coach unless you have that kind of conviction. So that is my advice. And if you have that conviction, people will feel that, and the market is going to take you positively. Personal branding comes later. Yeah. So just think on these lines.
Such powerful insights, Vikram. I'm sure every coach who is watching this now has clarity about how they can, build their personal brand with confidence and structure and with clarity. Remember, uh, a brand isn't built overnight. It is built whenever you show up. It is built whenever you show up with authenticity, clarity, and consistency. Thanks for joining in, and we will see you in the next episode.